Welcome to week 4 of the Aydin crochet along. I can't believe that we're already at the end of this, but this week is probably the most fun that we're gonna have because we're gonna actually see our cardigans come together. So I'm gonna turn the camera around here, grab all your panels. I'm gonna show you how to seam them together. We're gonna start with our shoulder seams, then we're gonna add the sleeves, and then we're gonna go ahead and seam along the sleeves and down the side to finish. And then I'll show you how we're gonna add our collar. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here I am. I'm ready to seam. My back panel is here and one of my front panels are here. So again, you can use these nice graphs I've included to help you to know how exactly to seam your shoulders. So on this example here, here's my back panel and here are my two front panels. So I know that this is going to be my shoulder seam. And so you can easily see how the stitches should line up with each other as you go across. So make sure if you're doing a size like the 3X where the front panels are going to be different, just make sure that you have the right front panel being seamed along and make sure that you get these diamond shapes when you're doing it. So I'm doing 2X. I have my back panel and my front panel wrong sides facing up. And I've thread the end of my yarn from one of my front panels through this blunt tapestry needle. And I like to use the mattress stitch to seam mine, but you can use whatever seaming method you prefer. So I know for mattress stitch, what we're going to do is go from the bottom up, and I'm going to go through both stitches here and pull that up, and then I'm going to go to the other side and through that same exact stitch on either side up through the bottom and out. So I'm going from the inside of the seam to the out, and I'm going to go through each stitch back and forth. And again, like I said, this is my preferred seaming method, but you can use whip stitch or any other seaming method that you prefer. You could, even if you want to, hold the panels together, right sides together, and use a slip stitch or a single crochet stitch, whichever one you prefer. Just make sure that you're lining them up so it matches the graph that's included for your size. So we're going to start by seaming our front panels to our back panel first. And as you can see on the graph, we are going to be leaving some stitches here. This is going to create the neckline of our cardigan. Okay, so now that we've got our shoulders seamed, this is a good time to try it on. Again, the sides are not going to be seamed together, but if you kind of pinch it close, you can see how it's going to be fitting on your body. So now we're going to attach our sleeves, and before we do that, like I said, I still have yarn attached here just in case I need to make any kind of adjustments. So what you can do is simply hold your sleeve along your arm like this, kind of pull it up to where it would touch the front and back panels like this, just to kind of get an idea of where it's going to hit on your arm. If it's super, super short like this, definitely add more rows. If it's hanging way, way down too far, you don't like that, definitely take some rows out. I think mine will fit pretty perfectly here, how I like it. Again, you can always make adjustments after. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to seam the sleeve onto the front and back panel. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you how I do that. And then we'll seam along the arm and down the side. Okay, so here we are ready to seam our sleeve to our front and back panels. So this is my back panel here, this is my front panel here, and this is my seam. Okay, and I've got my first sleeve sitting right here, ready to go with the wrong side facing up. So all 3 sections have the wrong side facing up. Okay, so here you can see each sleeve is going to have 2 of these V stitches here. So I know the center of my sleeve is right here, these 2 stitches. So I want to make sure that those 2 stitches are kind of like right in line with the seam, my shoulder seam right here. So now I can kind of stretch this down and see, okay, where is my sleeve going to hit? It's going to hit just above this 4th V-stitch repeat down here. So I want to make sure that this side is also going to hit right at the top of that 4th repeat. So another way to do this is to use your tape measure and just make sure that you're hitting the same amount, the same amount of inches down each side. So down the front panel, about 9 1/4. So I want to make sure that on this side I'm reaching down about 9 1/4 as well from the center shoulder seam. So if you need to, go ahead and use some stitch markers to keep your panel in place as you go. So I can kind of attach a stitch marker here in the center of my sleeve and my seam to keep that in place. And maybe down here, you can't see it's off camera, but down here at the bottom, I could attach a stitch marker here to where it needs to be. And then just carefully using your preferred seaming method, you'll seam the sleeve right onto the front and back panels. Again, I'm going to be using the mattress stitch, but you can use whatever seaming method you prefer. You just want to make sure that half of your sleeve is going onto the back panel, however many inches down, and half of your sleeve is getting sewn to the front panel, however many, the same amount of inches down. Okay, so make sure that you do that carefully. You can readjust as needed as well. You just want to make sure that you're in a nice smooth line here, a nice smooth seam without any puckering, and that it comes down the same amount as on either side. Okay, so now that we have our first sleeve seamed on, we're going to go ahead, we can do the second sleeve, and then we're simply going to fold our cardigan in half. So here you can see, here's our sleeve. Again, the wrong side is facing out. So here we have the cuff of our sleeve. We're going to fold that in half here, making sure that here at this point, this is going to be the underarm, and then we can line up our front and back panel all the way down, and we're going to seam along this line. So starting at the cuff, go up to the armpit, and then down the side to the bottom of our cardigan where our ribbings meet. And we're just going to seam that up on either side to finish seaming our full Aydin cardigan. Okay, so now that we have our shoulder seams, our arms seamed, and our underarm and sides all seamed together, and we can actually try on our cardigan. Mine is right side out right now. Go ahead and weave in all of your ends, and then I will show you how to attach the collar. Okay, so here I have my cardigan laying out. The right side is facing up, and we are working on the right side of the cardigan. So when you're wearing it, whatever side's on your right, that's the side that you'll want to start with. And as you see, I actually went up a hook size for mine to a 5mm hook. So depending on how you want your cardigan to look or how it goes over these first couple rows, if you find that it's pulling, definitely go up a hook size or two. Don't feel like you have to stick with the 4.5mm. Do what's going to look best for your cardigan. So I'm just attaching the yarn in that bottom stitch, and then I'm just going to single crochet into the edge of, or into the stitch along the ribbing, every stitch along the ribbing. It's nice that these are right here, so that beginning part's pretty simple. And then once we get through every stitch on the ribbing, we are going to be working into the ends, like the edges of our rows. So what we're going to do is we're going to be single crocheting into the edge. So here's our single crochet row. And then we've got double crochet rows. So in every double crochet row, we're going to be working 2 single crochet stitches. So you can see where I'm putting mine here. I'm trying to evenly space them, and you might have to like tug on your cardigan a little bit to see where the hole is and where the best spot to place them are. But for every double crochet row, you'll want to have 2 single crochets into those edges, and just try to work as evenly as possible. This isn't like a, perfect science when it comes to this. It's kind of just eyeballing it, but we're going to go all the way around, all the way up this right hand side. Across the neckline, you'll have stitches to actually work into from where you left them when you seamed them together. And then we're going to again go all the way down the left side, working 2 single crochet into the double crochet rows, and then working into every stitch of the ribbing. So go ahead and single crochet all the way around the edge of your cardigan for that first row of the collar. And again, if you're doing this and you're noticing that your stitches are starting to pull, you want this to be pretty loose. Because once we start doing the next few rows, it is going to kind of pull together a little bit more. So definitely go up a hook size if you're noticing any kind of puckering. Okay, so we finished row 1. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And now we are going to be slip stitching into the back loop only in each stitch. So again, this is where the larger hook size will help. Because when you do the slip stitches, it's really hard not to get too tight, and that can make your cardigan start kind of pulling upwards. So definitely feel free to go up a hook size or 2 if you need to. If you're a very tight crocheter, I recommend going up 2 hook sizes. But we're just going to be slip stitching in the back loop of every stitch all the way around our collar. And we're going to keep doing this. So we're just going to get around this second row and then chain 1, again, turn, slip stitch into the back loop only, going all the way around. And you can definitely do more or less rows of the slip stitching depending on how thick you want your collar to be. It's totally up to you. You can customize this to make it exactly how you want. So once you're done with your collar and you're happy with how it looks, go ahead and weave in any remaining ends and you are finished with your Aydin cardigan. Make sure to post a finished photo in the Facebook group so that we can see and share.